So, when I was in high school, I got into this nerd argument with someone I hung around with in the mornings before class. Her position was that lawful good characters suck to play because they have to follow the law, even if it's to their detriment. And my position was that I disagree, and that's not true. But I had no real substantive argument for why, and I've never really let it go. I think I'm unique amongst D&D players, or at least unique amongst a loud contingent of people on the internet, in that I enjoy playing lawful characters and often find them more compelling than chaotic ones. That isn't to say I think chaotic characters are unenjoyable or have less capacity for interesting characterization, just that my strengths in character writing tend to lead to lawful characters, and I tend to attach to lawful characters, Gregor Hartway my beloved. So in this video, I want to share what I see in lawful characters, specifically lawful good characters, and why I think they are interesting, actually. But first of all, what does lawful good even mean, man? How do we define good versus evil, and lawful versus chaotic? I think there are certain behaviors we can largely agree fall into these categories, but that agreement isn't universal. For example, I once watched a video where someone said necromancers always had to be evil in alignment. But one of my mom's favorite D&D character concepts is a lawful good necromancer who comes from a culture where necromancy is not seen as desecration of the dead, but a continuation of life and the healing process. And, if someone in real life were to dig up a stranger's corpse to resurrect their remains, yeah, I'd be uncomfortable with that, but in a fantasy culture where that's what people want to happen with their body and it's entirely commonplace, then I don't see why a necromancer in that society couldn't be considered good. To a certain extent, this can vary based on what people are able to tolerate in fiction. The feelings of discomfort I get from real-world desecration of the dead are already fairly muted compared to many other Americans, but also a zombie is so far removed from the realm of reality that it doesn't really trigger that discomfort at all for me, especially as someone who doesn't believe in ghosts or the supernatural, so I'm very comfortable with the subject of necromancy in fiction, but other people might find the idea of a necromancer being labeled good impossible to digest or accept or even actively offensive, even in a fantasy culture where necromancy is socially acceptable, and that's fine. Everyone has different wants and needs and tastes when it comes to fiction, and especially in a game as flexible as D&D, there's room for that. In any case, the same basic idea applies to the idea of lawful and chaotic, which are even more nebulous concepts. I think it's very easy for these ideas to get reduced down to having to follow the rules versus being allowed to do whatever you want, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think a lawful character is someone who will always follow the law and or their internal moral code perfectly, because the reality is that no one does. I consider myself a total square. I will follow rules and laws just because they are what they are, and I'm not very comfortable with breaking them. But that doesn't mean I think the law is always right. There are laws I disagree with that I think are unjust or harmful. I think laws and rules need to be evaluated by their capacity for harm, and despite my own behavior in daily life, I don't think laws and rules should be followed just because they are somehow higher than people. I think rules and laws need to serve the people who agree to follow them, and if they aren't doing that, they need to be changed. The difference between a lawful good character and a chaotic good character interacting with a harmful law is a lawful good character will want to work within the system to the best of their ability to undo the harm, while a chaotic good character would say fuck this and start fighting against it from the outside. Both characters ultimately want the same thing, to stop the harm, and both have valid methods of doing it. A good character is not required to follow the law in order to be lawful, they just have to value law and organization. And even ignoring that, most people try to be good and do good by others, but even when we're all doing our very best, we hurt people. We do things that violate our own ideas of doing the right thing because we get angry or sad or any number of things, and we disappoint ourselves. We fall short of our ideas of being a good person. Be you lawful or chaotic, falling short of being good by our own definitions is a part of being a person. Reevaluating your unideal actions is a part of the process of goodness. Unfailing rigidness is boring and uninteresting in a character, sure, but I don't think a lawful good character has to embody that. And this is merely one interpretation of what it means to be lawful good. In truth, alignment in D&D is very nebulous, despite our natural tendency to simplify it. And in my own games, alignment is the very last of our concerns when it comes to character. It's not prescriptive, it carries about as much weight in how we play our characters as a Myers-Briggs personality test. Very rarely is alignment important or tangible in our games. If a character goes unlabeled, it's fine in most cases. More than anything, it's an interesting way to reflect on our character's outlook about the world and their priorities than anything else. I've played a lawful good paladin who dedicates herself to protecting the people of her home because it's all she has. She's very committed to that noble goal, and thus I think lawful good is the most appropriate label, but she never made her goals and ethics a problem for other people. It's a path she chose for herself and follows rigidly. I've also labeled my fighter as lawful good, even though he's not very kind kind to other people, getting on their case about their behavior and making them follow the rules and conventions because he himself values following the rules as a reflection of the strength of his moral character and utility as a person, and thinks it reflects badly on him when his team doesn't do the same. Despite his abrasive personality, I still label him as good because he does want to do good by those around him. He wants happiness and success for others, and generally keeps his criticisms of others exclusively to behaviors he finds objectionable and avoids getting personal. But he's really stuck in his own hurt from his personal life and poor self-esteem and social awkwardness that it leads him to being a real asshole. He's not really proud of his behavior, but all the bullshit is making it a struggle to kick the brakes on and reflect on himself, and it's probably going to take either he or someone else crossing a boundary for him to realize that or a slow de-escalation process. So, there's some variety in the ways you can define and play with the alignment of lawful good in a character. Anyway, that's basically everything I had to say on the matter. I'm very interested in D&D character writing, and I just wanted to give my 2 cents on lawful alignments because I think they're overlooked. Plus, I just wanted to post something because it's been a long time, and I wanted to let y'all know I'm still kicking. If you'd like a longer update, it'll be in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye.